It is National Hot Dog Day. Happy National Dog Day, dear.
It's happy Veggie Hot Dog.
Veggie hot dog, yes. Principia Discordia. Okay. Angel baseball cap. Oyez magazine. 1980. What do all of these things have in common?
Crazy people.
Crazy people. But before we get into any of that stuff, actually, this isn't the Principia Discordia. There is a young Archbishop DuQuette eating a hot dog. First meet in 13 years, okay,
Something like
at an Angel baseball game,
First and
projected
last.
behind a sacred cow. But anyway, a few days ago, how many days ago? A week and
Fourth of July.
on the 4th of July,
We already did this. I showed
a
you.
neighbor lady brought over unconscious,
Well, you stop exaggerating.
comatose, a comatose
No.
baby bird with its umbilical cord still attached to it.
Lon's lying. He does this all the time. Lon's good at lying. Anyway, we've already told the story about the baby bird. The neighbor lady brought it to me on the 4th of July and said her husband said he was going to do it in because they didn't know what to do with it, and she wasn't going to try even. So that'd be helpless. So she was very nice, and she said that I could do what I could try to take care of it. I said I'd pay attention to it.
You look like someone who could resurrect a comatose.
It wasn't. It was just fell out of a tree, and luckily it didn't land on the sidewalk like its baby brother did or sister. Anyway, so I have been its mother since then, and teaching
Feeding it all at
feeding
all
it
hours of the day.
Yeah, an hour and a half, every hour and a half or so, except when we actually went shopping because we thought best not to take it in the car. Anyway, it looks pretty shabby, but we have a better story to tell than the last. Where is this bird?
You got to hold it up to there. Dear.
Up to where?
Up to there.
Oh, there's the bird. It's shabby because I fed it. I have someone, Nikki, made a homemade cage like for it, so I can put it outside during the day, most of the day, except when it's
And it
extremely
kept getting
hot.
stronger and stronger.
And it's stronger and stronger. It's got loose in the house a couple of times in the kitchen, and I've caught it. But I went to fetch it to feed it, and at 3:00. I fed it at 3:00 in the afternoon, and then I went to try to feed it again at like close to 5. And I knew it was hungry, so I opened up the screening and to stick my hand in there, and of course the bird got out and immediately flew straight up into a tall tree.
And we're surrounded by all sorts of trees.
Very
there,
tall
yeah.
trees all around. It's very squirmy now. Oh, it's going to get loose in here, and we have communicated this. The poor thing. Anyway, I've taught it a dialect of cheep, 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 and we communicate with each other. It doesn't like to sit in
He's
poop.
becking you. Yeah.
That's because it doesn't want to sit in poop. Anyway,
Don't tell the story.
let's tell a story. Anyway, so it got out at 5:00, and I, of course, sat out there for a good hour chirping at it in the tree. We would chirp back and forth constantly. Until I couldn't chirp anymore, and I had to feed us something.
And then the wind picked.
And the wind picked up, and it was very windy, and it went down to 57 last night, which is cold for a bird with almost no feathers, and really tiny. And so I just at 8:00 it stopped. About 8:30 it stopped chirping, and because it was darkish, and I stopped chirping and came in, and
we had resigned ourselves.
Yes, I was sure that that's what happens. The birds always want you to come up and feed them, and I'm always very sad that more than sad. What kind of magician am I? I can't fly. Anyway, So I just like visualize Divine Mother's hands around it like it likes to be held to keep it warm. But I didn't have really, I had no hope that this bird was going to be alive. And though all this morning, around 7 o'clock, I went out first and chirped, and there was no answer. So I went, and then I came back in, and we had a house inspection today from the city because they do it
But you
randomly by people. So we had an inspector coming at 8 o'clock. So it was, but he didn't come in anytime anyway. And he wasn't here. So I was out in the side yard, which is across. So I heard across the alley, I heard cheep, 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 cheep. And because I'm his mother, it doesn't matter what kind of other birds are chirping.
And it's a church.
It's a church
yeah.
behind the alley, and there was a tree there, and I heard it in the tree by the church, and the Lutheran church is small.
Could you
one.
see it?
No, of
You
course
could just
not.
hear it.
I could just hear it, but I know I'm a mother. I know its voice, and the poor thing, it probably couldn't talk to other birds. It knows grandma's dialect of whatever cheep 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 is. So it answered me, and I went cheep 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 cheep. I went more desperately because like I couldn't believe it. I still heard it, and it flew to the church roof, and then immediately across the alley, onto where I was standing. Now this is really true. Directly into my upraised hand. And that's really unusual because birdies usually learn to fly up, but they don't learn to fly down again. So anyway, Benny or Benjamina or Benjamin is
Da Vinci.
Da Vinci has, and I'm going to let it go again today after a while, but I'm going to make sure it's
She gets a belly full of
belly
food.
full of food
Yeah.
again, and if it wants to stay out all night, we'll see what happens. But maybe it'll come back again. And maybe next time I'll say it didn't come back, and it's not ready to feed itself really anyway. Except it's once.
But it's a pretty miraculous.
It's a miraculous story because it never happens.
When
I think
one
not
more
only do I
time.
think the neighbor lady was going to be at the door with her grandson to see the bird,
Okay.
so I'm supposed to.
And would you turn the overhead light on?
Don't you look good enough?
No, I can't read
Oh.
without it.
Which one is that?
It's that one, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Enough?
Isn't a wonder story, a bird wonder story. Anyway, what does all of this Discordian stuff have to do with anything? And in pure Discordian style, maybe nothing. But this is a 1980 edition of our little lodge. That's Haru Raha Lodge. And that whole setup there with the vulture and the beautiful Egyptian themed thing and Haru Raha thing. All of this was the very first Oyez designed this cover, and it was our good friend John Sandifer who forced us, drug us kicking and screaming into having a regular lodge journal, okay? And we used that cover format that he designed for years. A couple of years we did it quarterly. Anyway, in the introduction to this, because there's lots of pictures in this, it says, what hath gilds wrought? Wrought. There may be those among us who are bewildered over the theme of this issue of Oye. Some may ask, what has all this Discordian stuff to do with the OTO? The answer is this Discordian stuff has nothing official to do with the OTO. But Haru Raha Lodge encourages the guild system, as announced in the first issue of Oye and described in the Blue Equinox. Guilds bring together those of like mind or occupation to prosecute their own interests. Since the announcement, several guilds have formed to provide specialized activities of interest to various segments of our lodge population, and we encourage the guilds to contribute material to Oye, or Oyes. We called it Oyes for years. I still do. One of the most popular and unusual guild is the Guild of Dynamic Discord, or GODD. Fans of the underground mystico masterpiece of the 1960s, Principia Discordia, or How I Found the Goddess and What I Did to Her When I Found Her, which spawned such more recent hits as Robert Anton Wilson's The Illuminatus trilogy and Cosmic Trigger. GODD organized the now famous Eat a Hot Dog on Friday at the 13th, on Friday the 13th. Eat a hot dog on Friday the 13th. It was a field trip to the Angel Stadium, which delighted and outraged Southern California baseball fans. See article and pictures. For those who have never been exposed to the sublime transcendent nonsense of Discordia, we offer this brief glimpse at what has been described by some as the summit of modern Zen, and by others a complete waste of time. Signed, LMD. And not only is this filled with pictures of the event, of the historic event, but snippets from Principia Discordia itself. There's the God of the Month Club, and here is other full pages. Here we have Pat Boone, Hail Eris. There's the tickets and things like that. So, why eat a hot dog on Friday? Why the craziness? I'm going to read to you the introduction to Principia Discordia by Robert Anton Wilson. Let's see here. I gotta get a better view here. You hold in your hands one of the great books of our century. Fnord. That Fnord thing appears randomly throughout. It's unsatisfactorily explained everywhere. Okay. Some great books are recognized at once with a fusillade of critical huzzas and gonfalons, like medieval banners. Okay. I'm going to use that word from now on. Like Joyce's Ulysses. Others appear more furtively and are only discovered 50 years later, like Moby Dick or Mendel's great essay on genetics. The Principia Discordia entered our space-time continuum almost as unobtrusively as a cat burglar creeping over a windowsill. In 1968, virtually nobody had heard of this wonderful book. In 1970, hundreds of people coast to coast were talking about it and asking the identity of the mysterious author, Malacalypse the Younger. Rumors swept across the continent from New York to Los Angeles, from Seattle to St. Joe. Malacalypse was actually Alan Watts. One heard. No, said another, the Principia was actually the work of the Sufi order. A third, very intriguing myth held that Malacalypse was the pen name for Richard M. Nixon, who allegedly composed the Principia during a few moments of lucidity. I enjoyed each of these yarns and did my best to help spread them. I was also careful never to contradict the occasional rumors that I had actually written the whole thing myself on an acid trip. The legendary, the mystery, the cult grew slowly. By the mid-1970s, thousands of people, some as far off as Hong Kong and Australia, were talking about the Principia. And since the original was out of print by then, Xerox copies were beginning to circulate here and there. When the Illuminatus trilogy appeared in 1975, my co-author, Bob Shea, and I both received hundreds of letters from people intrigued by the quotes from Principia, with which we decorated the heads of several chapters. Many who had already heard of the Principia or seen copies asked if Shea and I had written it or if we had copies available. Others wrote to ask if it were real or just something we invented the way H.P. Lovecraft invented the Necronomicon. We answered according to our moods, sometimes telling the truth, sometimes spreading the most god-awful lies and myths we could divide. Why not? We felt that this book was a true classic, literatus immortalis. And since the alleged intelligentsia had not yet discovered it, the best way to keep its legend alive was to encourage the mythology and the controversy about it. Increasingly, people wrote to ask me if Timothy Leary had written it. I almost always told them he had. Except on Fridays, when I am more whimsical, in which case I told them that it had been transmitted by a canine intelligence, vast, cool, and unsympathetic. From the dog star Sirius. Now the truth can be told. Actually, Principia is the work of a time-traveling anthropologist from the 23rd century. He is currently passing among us as a computer specialist, bon vivant, and philosopher named Gregory Hill. Greg Hill. All of that might be true, but Greg Hill certainly was the prime suspect for Malacalypse the Younger. He has also translated several volumes of Etruscan erotic poetry under another pen name, and the 18th century was the mysterious man in black who gave Jefferson the design for the Great Seal of the United States. I have it on good authority. He is one of the most accomplished time travelers in the galaxy and has visited Earth many times in the past, using such cover identities as Zeno of Elias, Emperor Norton, Count Cagliostro, Guillaume of Aquitaine, etc. Whenever I question him about this, he grows very evasive and attempts to persuade me that he is actually just another 20th century Earth man, and that all my ideas about his extraterrestrial and extratemporal origin are delusions. Ha! I'm not that easily deceived. After all, a time-traveling anthropologist would say just that. And so, he could observe us without his presence causing culture shock. I understand that he has consented to write an afterword to this edition. He'll probably contradict everything I've told you, but don't believe a word he says, nor he is a master of deadpan put on, the plausible satire, the philosophical leg pull, and all the branches of guerrilla ontology. For full benefit to the head, this book should be read in conjunction with the Illuminoids by Niles Wilgus and Zen Without Zen Masters by Camden Benares. We are operating on many levels here, as Ken Kesey used to say. In conclusion, there is no conclusion. Things go on as they always have, getting weirder all the time. Hail Eris, all hail Discordia. Nord. Robert Anton Wilson, International Arms and Hashish Incorporated, Dara Bazar Kohat. Okay. And here, I'll close with this, and might help explain why a bunch of goofy Thelemite Discordians went to Angel Stadium on a Friday the 13th to eat hot dogs. And to make it interesting, we all dressed up like clergy. Me, a Romanian Orthodox bishop who could speak no English. I just slapped my knee and went, "Baseball! Baseball! Rod Kuru! Rod Kuru!" I did have an interpreter, which was my Pakistani workmate, Atiq Razul Raja, who spoke with such a thick English or Pakistani accent that he, as my interpreter, would just say things like, Bishop says baseball. Baseball. He said baseball. Okay. Anyway, this is the 5 commandments, or the Pentabarf. And that's this sort of reproduction. All the pages are coded with a special code number, everything. The Pentabarf was discovered by the hermit apostle Zarathustra in the 5th year of the caterpillar. He found them carved in gilded stone while building a sun deck for his cave, but their import was lost, for they were written in a mysterious cipher. However, after 10 weeks and 11 hours of intense scrutiny, he discerned that the message could be read by standing on his head and viewing it upside down. Know ye this, O man of faith. 1. There is no goddess, but goddess, and she is your goddess. There is no Erisian movement, but the Erisian movement, and it is the Erisian movement. And every golden apple core, C-O-R-P-S, is the beloved home of a golden worm. Now, the goddess Eris is the one that threw a golden apple into a group of sort of snobby other goddesses, and it says in Greek, to the fairest, and Aphrodite picked it up and says, "Oh, this is for me because I'm the fairest," and Hera picks it up. No, this is for me, and it caused discord among the goddesses. So, okay, number 2. A Discordian shall always use the official Discordian document numbering system. Okay, that's the second of the Pentabarfs. 3. A Discordian is required during his early illumination to go off alone and partake joyously of a hot dog on a Friday. This devotive ceremony to remonstrate against the popular paganisms of the day of Catholic Christendom, no meat on Friday. Well, in the 60s, that's even the late 60s, that was pretty much the case. No meat on Friday. Of Judaism, no meat of pork. Of Hindic peoples, no meat of beef. Of Buddhists, no meat of animal. And of Discordians, no hot dog bun. 4. A Discordian shall partake of no hot dog buns, for such was the solace of our goddess when she was confronted with the original snub. 5. A Discordian is prohibited of believing what he reads. And so it is written, so be it, hail Discordia, prosecutors will be transgressicuted. Okay. It is a lot of fun. Okay, it is much, much fun. And where is it? Here we go. If I can actually have a little, well, anyway. This is where a bunch of us at least gathered before we took off from the lodge, but other people came, met us at the stadium. We got a group tickets, and we all sat in a group. Not only that, we informed the people at the stadium that Haru Raha Lodge OTO was visiting, and they put that announcement up on the giant screen, and they welcomed us. And when they did, we all sort of stood up, and I slapped my knee and went, baseball, baseball. And there's Atik there on that's him right there. That was my interpreter. That's our good friend Sel Heidel. We talk to him several times a week. There's beautiful Constance. There's Jean-Paul, little Jean-Paul, and Doug James in his t-shirt, and our good friend Tom Saline there. Okay, and there is the moment I ate the hot dog. Jean-Paul and Constance and Sel sitting right next to me. Okay. Oh, this is a holdout. We went to no expense to do. There's guys with, one of them has eyeballs that pop out on springs. There's some others there. There's Doug drinking some beer there. Okay, that whole section is us, even in back. And let's see here. If you're at all, you're probably not interested in this. Yeah, there's more of us back there. Even the people that are looking embarrassed in back of us, that was part of our group. And there is close up of the moment I'm biting down my first meat munch in 13 years. Okay. Anyway, that's today's talk. The important thing is the miracle of that bird flying back into Constance's hand, literally. It's a wild bird, and so she's probably going to let it go again today after giving it we're encouraged that it survived the night out in the wilds of East Sacramento. Anyway, until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.